Hello, everyone. Welcome to Steve Rosenfield's stand-up comedy workshop show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hi, welcome. What you're going to see is a company of stand-up comedians who have trained together in a workshop conducted by the award-winning comedy director, the author of the book Mastering Stand-Up, and the founder of the American Comedy Institute, Steve Rosenfield. Some of the alumni of this program have gone on to perform on The Tonight Show, The Late Show, Conan O'Brien, Gotham Comedy Live, Saturday Night Live, and they perform in the best clubs all over the United States and all over the world. And the best club all over the world tonight is wherever you're sitting right now. Thank you for having us in your home. We're very excited to perform. I love the comics on the show tonight, and we have a few making their stand-up comedy debuts for you. So you're in for a treat. And speaking of all over the world, not only do we have comics from all over the world tonight, but we have our workshops online every single month. So no matter where in the world you live, you can do comedy at the American Comedy Institute and work with Steve Rosenfield. More on our workshops to come. First off, got to bring up some comedians to the screen. I'll be first. My name is Michaela. I'm going to be your host. I'm very glad to be here, especially on Zoom, because you can't tell how short I am. Oh, I love Zoom shows for this exact purpose. But I'll be honest with you, I'm 4'8". That's right in between Snooki and Danny DeVito on a scale. Danny DeVito's the tallest. I'm kidding. They're both taller than me, just by a little bit. It's tough. The first time that my ex saw me naked, they said that they were shocked at how close together everything was. But I take that as a compliment at this point. That's convenient, you know? Like some people want to donate their bodies to science when they die. I'm going to donate mine to engineering. I'm a new type of simple machine. My body functions are very quick. I got quick reflexes and I can get drunk from the thought. And that's really something special. I like to think of myself as a little iPod shuffle. Like I have all the functions of a normal iPod, but if you give me one margarita, I'll play Jimmy Buffett over and over again. That's all I play. And that's a fun time. I like that about myself, honestly. I'm really glad to be back in New York City too. I am here, not on the Hudson River, but I am in New York. But I spent a lot of quarantine in Florida and it was scary. Oh my gosh, I didn't like it, but I wasn't alone. Thankfully, I had two wonderful quarantine buddies. Ladies and gentlemen, they've been married for 27 beautiful years. They've seen all 8 seasons of Dexter thrice. And they don't believe in global warming. It was Mike and Tina Fagan, the greatest parents ever. I love them so much. They live in a 55 and over community. And I must say, though, the view from their backyard of the sun setting over my middle school was just beautiful. It made me wish I could paint and didn't bring back any traumatic memories at all. It was a good time. So I lived in that 55 and over community with them for like 6 months. And I started to think I'm the only fertile woman in a mile. And if this becomes a situation where we need to repopulate the earth, there was going to be a line of old men knocking down my door. So I had to establish the parameters of the competition that would ensue. Step number 1, to enter, you must have an active driver's license. Step number 2, a jitterbug competition to determine their style, their flair, and endurance. And number 3, it's bocce ball to the death. I will procreate with the lone victor. And by procreate, I mean a socially distanced coupon dinner at Boston Market. That's as far as I would really go, if I'm being honest. So thankfully for those men, I got out. I got out. I'm back in New York. And in college, I'll be honest with you all, back in college, I was a lesbian. And now I still am because I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit. It's difficult, but I'm sticking with it at this point. I think almost all queer women have this built-in detective skill set. We also look like all the detectives on the cop shows, but I swear we can be detectives too, but only when it comes to other queer women. Like, I don't know how useful I'd be in a real crime scenario. I'd be like, oh, telling my lead investigator, I couldn't dig up any prints at the scene, but I do have some pretty solid evidence that Fran Lebowitz is a power bottom. And I think we should bring her in for a confession, see if we can We can get a confession on that, I'm pretty sure. So that's the best that my detective skills can get me. That's as far as I can go. Growing up, I wanted to be in child beauty pageants because I grew up in Florida. It was a common thing. My parents never entered me in one, and I'm honestly upset at them because I think I could have won something. I did come up with my introduction, though. The woman who was presenting this pageant in whatever Wyndham ballroom would probably have to introduce me like this. And now, coming to the stage, we have little Miss Michaela Fagan. She's got brown hair, brown eyes, and a golden heart. Her two favorite things to do are rip worms in half and eat Kraft singles straight from their individual plastic packaging. Her record is 23 in a row. Wow, Michaela, that's a lot of cheese. She loves her parents, her cats, and maybe Jesus, but she's skeptical. Her favorite smells are gasoline and pork. And when she grows up, she'd like to be a Radio City Rockette. Good luck with that. Or rich. This is little Miss Michaela. They come out like, thank you, everyone. Yeah. So I won't be a pageant princess, but I do get to be a comedy host, and I'm so excited about the show we have tonight. I cannot wait to bring your first comic to the screen. She is so funny, performing all the way from Toronto. This is Marlena Kaesler.
Oh my God, guys. Thank you so much. Give it up for Michaela. I can't hear you, but let's do it anyways. Thank you so much for having me. I've been thinking deeply about some things, and I've come to the conclusion that I am a very specific level of attractive, okay? I am catcall attractive, but I am not attractive enough to get my dinner paid for on a date. I just want to be free dinner hot. But the only way that you get that hot is if you never eat that free dinner. You know? They're all like, baby, beautiful ass, absolutely beautiful, it's gorgeous. And I'm like, oh, do you want to take me out for dinner? And they're like, no. I want to be so attractive that none of my actions matter to anyone. I want to be so hot that my attractiveness compensates for the amount of trouble that I cause in your life. You know, anyways, I have had a lot of very strange ex-boyfriends within the last year, and let me go through a list of my traumas. Yay! All right, so the first one was the son of a famous Broadway actor who played the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera. And his son kind of took after him. But he is just the phantom of my vagina. I hope we're not getting kicked off of YouTube right now. Then I got rejected by a prince. Yes. Impersonator. He was a prince impersonator. And he swooped his purple feather boa and he batted his glittery eyelashes at me. And he was like, "You're too much for me." Do you know what it's like to have a man like that tell you that you're too much for them? To be fair, I was. Anyways, now he's dead to me. Just like the real prince. Recently, quite recently, I got rejected by a man who lives on an abandoned bus. And the bus couldn't go anywhere except maybe to Disappointmentville. I think it didn't work because he needed a home and I needed self-esteem. Yeah, I'm glad that it ended when it did, because if you date a man living on a bus in the summer, that's an adventure. But if you date a man on a bus in the winter in Canada, that's a death sentence. This wasn't really a bad breakup for him, His last girlfriend, she left him for a man that lived on a train. Anyways, easy come, easy go, and easy come they did until they were easy gone. I'm excited that there's some things that are opening up, because I am sick of doing comedy shows outside, okay? Because if outside was so great, then tell me, why did we invent inside, right? Like, mosquitoes happen outside, thunder, lightning happens outside, and Seinfeld happens inside, right? I think that's thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for having me. Back to Michaela.
Yeah, Marlena. Give it up for Marlena. Marlena, if you're not hot enough for a free dinner at a restaurant, you're definitely hot enough for a free dinner outside. By those standards, I think a picnic dinner, super hot enough for that. Absolutely. Your next comic coming to the screen. I love this guy. He's so funny, all the way from New York City. This is Isa O'Neill.
I'm entering my senior year at college, and I'm starting to wonder what I'll do when I'm out of college. There's one thing that a lot of people do when they leave college that I don't think is going to work out for me, and that's getting a job. I've never gotten a job. I've applied to hundreds of jobs, and I've never gotten one of them. I never even got a response. Well, to be fair, I did get one response from Walgreens. They said they would never hire me. Recently, our nation has entered an unprecedented labor shortage not seen since the 1960s. For the first time in history, there are now more than 1,600,000 open jobs available in leisure and hospitality alone. In some parts of the country, prospective employers are paying people just to show up to interviews. And I can't get a job as a busboy. That said, I have noticed a difference. I have now been invited to 2 interviews after only sending out a few hundred applications. One interview I was invited to was with I-5 Marketing. They wanted to talk to me about my offer. Now, I don't remember sending the application. I don't remember my offer. I don't know what I-5 Marketing is. I don't know what marketing is. So I take the interview, and the lady asks me, "What are you hoping to get out of this job?" And I said, "It's the opportunity to work well in a team environment and contribute to the core values of I-5 Marketing." She said, "Do you have any experience with a project you propose doing for us? And I said, well, it depends. And she said, depends on what? And I said, it depends on what you mean. And she said, it depends on what I mean by what? And I said, it depends what you mean by experience. It depends what you mean by project. It depends what you mean by doing. She cut me off and said, we only have 15 minutes for this interview. Now, you mentioned in your cover letter using economies of scale to better serve our larger clients. Do you care to expand on that idea? And I said, well, I would love to. And she said, well? And I said, oh, you mean right now? Well, I5 marketing has scale, doesn't it? And she said, of course. And I said, so we can economize on that. And she said, Mr. O'Neill, what are you talking about? And I said, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Well, let me tell you what I am talking about. I'm talking about the bottom line. And she said, what the hell does that even mean? And I said, I'm talking about cutting costs. I'm talking about cutting administrative costs, payroll costs, IT costs, infrastructure costs, catering costs, daycare costs, electricity costs, heating costs, air conditioning costs, fixed costs, accounting costs, recruiting costs, payroll costs, medical insurance costs, retirement pension costs, miscellaneous costs, marketing costs, and rent. So that was one of the two interviews I was invited to. And I didn't get the other job either. But both interviews were a real boost to my morale. And I needed a boost because I'm majoring in economics. So I know that anyone can get a job in this economy if they have at least one of the following three attributes: provable skills, social connections, or the ability to communicate. And unfortunately, I don't have any of them. I'm a bit of a Civil War buff. I'm really interested in the English Civil War of the 1640s. I just can't get over it. And I know you all know where I'm going to go with this one. That's right, the first Marquess of Argyll, 8th Earl of Argyll, Richard Campbell. I mean, can you believe this guy? Talk about a reason to take down a statue, am I right? My friend group is always arguing over politics. I have one friend who's a socialist, and he says that we need to do more to address inequality. I have another friend who's a Democrat, and he says that Joe Biden should be focusing more on Afghanistan. And I have another friend who's a Republican who says that Joe Biden is a child-raping Satanist from outer space. Thank you. You have been an above-average audience.
Isa O'Neill. Isa, you seem great at cutting costs. If you maybe make a transition to hair, a salon job could be in your future, you know, if you're so good at that. I'd recommend salons.
That's smart. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Your next comic coming to the screen, a lovely person and a really funny comedian all the way from Thousand Oaks, California. This is Michelle Malizaki.
Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for a compliment. Lovely person. I'm the 17th wonder of Japan. Thank you. I am a mom, and it sucks. When my son was 4 years old, I took him to the mall to see Santa so he could tell Santa what he wants for Christmas. We went, and my son sat on Santa's lap and asked for 3 sisters. Santa whispered me, "Good luck, Mom." 3 sisters? Can it be a Lego set, a big one, or a Tonka truck? My son's like, "No, I want 3 sisters." So mommy got busy. And I got 1 sister, just 1 sister. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. I have to figure out the way to tell my son there will be no more sisters. And I did. One day I told my son, "Hey, honey, there'll be no more sisters." And my son said, "Why?" I said, "That's because Santa died." And my son's like, okay. He didn't look upset at all. He said he didn't like the one that he got last year. He also asked me if he could return that one. I'm an Asian mom. I'm not good at criticizing my kids, but I am very good at traumatizing my kids. I tell my son, "You have to study hard because A- is an Asian F." You know what my mom used to tell me when I was a kid? She said, "If you don't study hard, Godzilla will come get you." Arr! Another reason why I came to America, to get away from Godzilla. I see a lot of white moms spoil their children.
This is a Gene Kim.
You know, some white moms, they cut grapes in half. How small are their throats? I never did that. I wanted other kids to know my kids are great, strong enough, tough enough to handle a whole grape. Also, I stopped peeling bananas, not potatoes, bananas, when they were kindergarten, 1st grade, because at lunchtime, I wanted other white kids to know that my kids could handle and rip off the peels all by themselves. I wanted them to get scared. Yeah, they are animals. I also wanted my kids to be fiercely competitive, so I taught them Yo Mama jokes. I remember the first Yo Mama joke I taught them. Your mama's so fat. When she fell, I didn't laugh, but the whole sidewalk cracked up. And my son's like, "My mama is you. You're making fun of yourself. You lose, haha." I'm like, "No, son. It's called self-dedication joke. I win. Again. I love being a mom of 2 kids, a son and a daughter. Every birthday, I tell my son, thank you for being born to me. You are my favorite son. And your sister is my favorite child. Well, thank you so much for listening to me because I don't get this much attention at home. Thank you so much. I'm Michelle Marizaki. Thank you. Yay.
Michelle Malazaki, she wins again. She can never lose when you're in a fight with your children. And then if you come close, yeah, Santa's dead. The ultimate winning line, I think. Can't go wrong with it. Nice. I'm going to use that one in the future. Thank you. Your next comic coming to the screen is all the way from Indianapolis. Please give it up for the hilarious Buffy Canter.
Hi. I'm Buffy. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I'm raising 2 amazing daughters, and I'm pretty sure they're both sociopaths. I saw the signs really early, and I stopped saving for college, and I started saving for bail. So get this. They both have to take a foreign language in school, and they both chose Mandarin. They said it was so they could speak amongst themselves and I couldn't analyze them, and then they could talk and I didn't understand what they were saying. I'm pretty sure they're trying to murder me. The other day I'm driving in the car and they're both in the back seat. And then one of them says to the other, "你先生的吧呀，手柄呀，就听嘛." And then the other one says, "我们的吧呀." And I go, "What are you girls talking about? Sister stuff?" And they go, "Don't worry, you'll find out." So I have this huge diagnostic manual, right? As a psychologist, has every single diagnosis in there and all the symptoms. I know they've been reading it. I knew when they went away to camp that they had already absorbed this knowledge in their head. It was dangerous. I didn't get letters like other parents got, I'm sure, that said, "Dear Mom, I met my best friend, Madison. She's from St. Petersburg, Florida. She's got 2 daddies. I love Justin Bieber. I love you too. Bye." No, I got letters that said, get this, the arts and crafts, "Dear Mom, the arts and crafts teacher has seasonal affective disorder. Dear Mom, my camp counselor has genetic loading for substance abuse. And dear Mom, the camp dog YOLO has early onset Alzheimer's." I mean, my gosh, giving these kids this knowledge in their head was like giving each one of them an AK-47. They were just going to take people out willy-nilly with these diagnoses. It was too dangerous. But my karma as a psychologist and a mom reared its ugly head like clockwork every year at Halloween. The first time I took them out for Halloween, the oldest one went as Bernie Madoff. And the youngest one went out as the floor of a movie theater. The floor of a movie theater. I feel I'm a psychologist. I'm an empath. Not like those sociopaths. I feel. The other day I was getting kind of upset. I was watching TV and I was moved. I was moved by something really sad. In all fairness to me, it kind of gripped me. Has anyone seen the Mucinex commercial? Okay, I was watching the Mucinex commercial. Get this. So it's this huge cartoon blob of mucus, right? He's obese, he's disordered, he's running around, he's trying to make his way in the world. He does. He finds a safe space. It just happens to be up someone's respiratory tract, right? And then all of a sudden, Mucinex comes, the drug, and wipes him out. Gone. He's just kaboom. And I'm thinking, of all the people that got wiped out, that were just trying to find their place in this world, that were disordered, they just wanted to be safe, they just wanted to have someone believe in them and they could finally be safe. And I got choked up. And then my girls, my daughters come in the room and they go, oh, disgusting. Are you crying at the Mucinex commercial again? And I go, yeah. And then one of them says to the other, 是啊，你现在的牙牙，臭鸡巴呀，臭鸡巴呀. And the other one says, 糟，我们的妈. I'm Buffy Canter. Thanks a lot.
Buffy Canter! Buffy, I've learned two very important things. I'll never blow my nose again, and I'll never have the DSM-5 as a coffee table book. Okay, good to know. I'm learning so much from everyone tonight. Thanks for the great advice, everyone. Your next comic coming to the screen. I love her. I've known her a long time. She's very funny, all the way from the Upper East Side in Manhattan. This is Jean Kim.
Yay! Thank you, Michaela. So hello, everyone. My name is Jeannie. As you can clearly tell by my face, I'm from Brooklyn. Naturally, I'm from Ohio. I just sound like this because I live with an Italian Guido from Bensonhurst. So when I first met my boyfriend's mom, she asked me if I could do her nails. I know, right? At first I was so offended, but then I thought, hey, it's my boyfriend's mom. So I gave her a mani-pedi and I dry cleaned her sweater. That's just the kind of girl I am. So my boyfriend and I, we were friends for a long time first before we got together. It wasn't until he had a heart attack that I really fell for him. Because it slowed him down a little, made him self-reflective, took a few pounds off his belly. Guys, I'm telling you, if you want a quality guy, one who will genuinely care for you, I suggest finding one who just had a serious heart attack. Yeah, I swear he'll value every second with you. So I came to America from Korea when I was 2 years old. My sister was 3. She was actually supposed to come here, but at the last moment at the airport, my grandma said, Jean's so loud. She cried too much. Take her. I keep quiet one. So I ended up coming here on my sister's passport. You know how they say all Asian babies look alike? Yeah, apparently immigration thought so too. So I grew up in Ohio where I was one of only a few Asians in my entire high school. So I spent a lot of time doing white people activities. I wore a lot of flannel. I listened to tons of country western music. I thought about joining the swim club, but then I remembered, hey, I want to meet Black guys. I auditioned for the drama club for 4 years, but I didn't get one part until they put on a production of Miss Saigon. And then I got 3 parts. And my mom, when she'd come back from the mall, she'd give me and my sister a full report. She'd say, I see 2 Chinese, 1 Filipino, 1 Korean, and buy one, get one, please, sir, at Macy's. I mean, it wasn't until I moved to New York City, the land of the Asian fetishists, that I finally felt truly appreciated and properly objectified. So growing up, we were really poor, and I always wondered what it would be like to be part of a rich family. So when I was 16, I actually wrote a letter to our town millionaire, asking him to adopt me. And, you know, my friends were like, didn't that really hurt your mom's feelings? And I was like, what? What do you mean? It was her idea. She helped me write the letter. So my mom, she lives in Staten Island. And I think she's the only person I know who moved there to raise her social standing and impress our relatives, because I hear her on the phone with them, bragging, going, oh, what I do today? I go boating in the harbor again. I'm like, Mom, you were with 500 people on the Staten Island ferry. So I think my mom was the most prepared person I know for this pandemic, because she's been hoarding and rationing food and paper products since the end of the Korean War. I mean, I swear, when I go over to her apartment, she's got toilet paper, napkins, paper towels stacked all the way up to her ceiling. You could put a cash register in there and open up a Costco. So I often get asked if I'm North Korean, and I'm here to clarify it for you once and for all. This is how you tell the difference between a North and a South Korean. If you're talking to a Korean in the United States, they're South Korean. I don't think a lot of people understand what's going on in North Korea. For instance, people there don't say, I'm gonna fly to San Francisco and do some shoe shopping. So I forgot how blunt Koreans are even when they first greet you, until I went back to Korea after college. The first thing people say is, you look so fat, or you look dried up. And that's actually a compliment, even if they don't know you. I was speaking Korean with an American accent, and my cab driver was like, why you sound like that? Were you dropped on head? Are you retarded? So I gained a lot of weight during the pandemic, and I went on this new weight loss diet. And they said your partner has to be supportive for it to work. And he is. He said that when he slaps my thigh these days, he doesn't get as much reverb. Thank you, everyone.
Jeannie Kim. Jeannie, I have to say, I'm with your mom on the Staten Island ferry is boating. You can drink alcohol. Why couldn't it be a pina colada? You know, that's what I do sometimes. Definitely a bougier activity than one would expect. Great set, Jeannie. Your next comic coming to the screen is making his stand-up comedy debut tonight, all the way from Philadelphia. This is Mal Zinn.
Hi, friends. I'd like to talk to you about Jesus. I'm worried about him because I've seen his pictures. I've seen his paintings. He's a good-looking guy, but he's a very, very white-looking guy. You've seen him. The Jesus with the good hair, it's light brown. He has some blonde streaks in it, blue eyes. I mean, just great skin. He kind of looks like an underwear model. And you just know that he's a white guy. And that's okay. I'm not here to bash white guys. It's okay if that's his look. Maybe that's what his dad looked like. You know, God. That's how genetics works. If anybody has dominant genes, it's God. So Jesus can be a white guy. That's fine. I'm just worried about him. Because where he grew up in the Middle East, he was the only white guy. The only white guy in forever. Like before Jesus, there hadn't been pilgrimages, there hadn't been crusades. The Middle East had never seen a white guy. And then he shows up looking all pale, living in the desert, and sunscreen hasn't been invented for 2,000 years. Everybody else was like, this is home. And he's like, it hurts to go outside. You and I both know how people treat somebody who's different. And if you're that different, people are extra, extra, extra shitty. Jesus talked to the lepers. That's not surprising. What's surprising is that the lepers talked to him. I thought they'd be like, no, you're weird, you make us look bad. Jesus was all about peace. That makes sense. I'm sure every drunk guy came at him looking for a fight. Of course he's like, can't we just get along? Jesus hated moneylenders. Very on brand. That guy can't get along. We're told that Jesus was celibate, but it's not being celibate if nobody wants to fuck you. That's just being a virgin. There is a difference. How did Jesus even find out about the birds and the bees? Teenage Jesus comes home. He's been beat up all day, shoved in his locker. He talks to Mary. She can't tell him. She's compromised. Mom, what's going on? Really, I know I'm different. Who's my real dad? Mary panics. Oh, sweet Jesus. I'm sorry. I don't know what he looks like. It was just one night. It was a long time ago. Jesus. Well, where does he live? Can I go see him? Jesus, I'm sorry. He's very far away. You can try talking to him, though. He listens. He listens all the time. He never answers. That's not his thing, but he listens. Then Joseph, poor Joseph. Joseph has to try and be a dad to teenage Jesus. Come on, son. Clean out your room. Help your mom. Take out the trash. Jesus snaps back. You can't make me. You're not my real father. This is a maladjusted young man from a broken home. He gets a little older. He starts going to weddings, just hustling, turning water into free wine, just giving it out so people like him. They invite him back. He has this Sermon on the Mount. No one is listening. He just miracles up an all-you-can-eat loaves and fishes buffet so that people will hang out. Even his friends make him walk on water like some sort of teenage hazing ritual. Believe me, I'm real. These are the actions of a lonely, lonely man trying to win over some friends. 30 years. He does this for 30 years, can only get 12 guys to follow him. One of those guys was a snitch. Then one day, they get him. They hang him up. I don't believe Jesus died saying, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." That's just Roman propaganda. I think he died saying, "I knew it. I knew this was happening someday." But man, oh man, did Jesus have some really great hair. So thank you. And in the spirit of Jesus, I love you and appreciate you, and I hope you have a great night.
Malzin, awesome debut. And yeah, I never thought that way about Jesus. That was some good stuff. I want a sitcom immediately. Teenage Jesus. I think there's a streaming service that will pick that up. There's got to be one. I'm really excited about your last comedian tonight. She's a wonderful lady, a really funny performer. She's all the way from Washington, D.C. So please put your hands together for Yelina Kulik. You're on mute. I'm going to unmute you. Or you have to unmute yourself, actually. It happens. It's Zoom. It's Zoom. Just the lip. There you go. Yelina.
I read in the news recently that now when more and more places are requiring to prove that you're being fully vaccinated, you can actually buy a fake vaccine card. I'm from Russia, and I'm not impressed. A fake vaccine card in Russia, you can buy a fake doctor diploma and practice medicine. Now that's corruption. In Russia, we did not have enough food. And my parents would say to me, if you keep eating the way you do, you're going to put us in a poorhouse. So I was a little suspicious of my parents' intentions when they, on Sundays, sent me into the forest to pick mushrooms. I was 5. I remember visiting my grandmother, and she said, you know, my next door neighbor, little boy Nikolai, he got poisoned by the mushrooms he picked in the forest. He almost did not survive. And my dad was like, what part of the forest exactly? So as soon as I could, I honored my parents' wish to get lost and moved to the United States. In Russia, you have to be very careful what you said, even at home, because like if your neighbors overheard you say something bad, they will report you to the authority. That made me wonder of my parents' choice of words when they were fighting with each other. They would never say like, you bastard, you bitch. They would say like, traitor, or you capitalist stooge. So were they really fighting, or they were trying to put each other into gulag? I went on my first date when I was 18, and a guy was older. We went to this cafe and I had soda, and he said, "You want to go to my place?" I said, "I know I look young, but my parents taught me that if I go with you, I'm going to have to give you this one thing that every man wants from me." He was like, "And what do you think is that?" I said, I have no idea. They didn't tell me this part yet." And he was like, "Waiter, check." One thing that really surprised me when I got here was how many board games are here for children. Like Candyland is like all kids' favorite. All kids love candies, and the game shows how to get it. In Russia, if I had a game, the board game like that when I was growing up, they were called Find a Chicken. In Russia, there is no word for fun. The closest word is joy. And that's a problem for the Russian woman, because you can't just say, "Let's have fun tonight." You have to say, "Let's have joy tonight." And that's where the problem starts. I'm interested in this new popular trends in America right now, like cryotherapy, where you submit yourself to sub-zero temperatures. There is also intermittent fasting, and you have to starve yourself every day for the most of the day. And then there is minimalism, where you can only have a few things at home and you can't own anything. They call this living happier and more meaningful life. In Russia, they have it too. We call it Siberia. I have this fear of taking any form of public transportation. My friend recommended a therapist, and he said that he would help me, and it would be $2.50 an hour per session twice a week. And I told him, "Oh my God, I'm already feeling so much better." He said, "Great, when would you like to come in?" And I said, "Never. I'm going to use $500 a week to hire a chauffeur." I recently learned about this Russian millionaire. He's trying to find a cure for aging, and believes that people can live up to 200 years. I think it's too much. I think he should really invest his money into make people to live like up to 100 years, but still have a perky boobs. My daughter is blaming me for giving her birth. According to her, her generation is going to be a last generation on Earth. I said to her, "What are you complaining about? How often do you get experience this kind of grand finale?" Many of my friends now, when pandemic is getting a little bit more under control, want to visit Russia, and they asking me if it's safe. And I said, "Sure it is. Just don't smile, don't wave at people, don't get lost, don't act lost, don't make an eye contact, don't talk to strangers, don't wear right clothes, don't carry a backpack, or just go to France." My daughter told me that there is this Japanese method of organizing. You have to get rid of things that don't bring you joy anymore. And I said, "Oh, well, I think I should go upstairs now and start packing." My husband thinks that I'm reckless with money. And I told him, I'm not reckless. I'm very patriotic. President Kennedy once said, "Don't ask what America could do for you. Ask what you could do for America." And what I could do for America is give America all his money. Thank you so much. I love you.
Yelina Kulik. Yelina. Yeah, that is interesting. The whole Marie Kondo thing, get rid of things that don't bring you joy. In Russia, is it get rid of things that don't bring you fun, including the word itself? That seems like a way to organize things. Thank you all so much for watching. That is our show. If you've ever dreamed of doing stand-up comedy, if you love making people laugh, this is the place to do it at the American Comedy Institute. And we have our workshops are going to continue to be online, but actually come October, our shows will be back live in New York City and online. So even if you're from outside of the state, can't make it to the city, you can still participate in the workshops. But people in the New York area, come on back to ACI, and we have some live shows happening this fall, and we're so looking forward to being back in the clubs. So thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend and stay safe. Everyone in the path of the hurricane, stay safe.